program. On Friday, I'm in the car pickup line, and I'm watching Ty Simpson announcement. He picks Alabama. It's a tough scenario being a Tennessee fan growing up and being at this moment and picking the arch rival. And looks like he was reading from a piece of paper, a statement. I can only imagine being in his position. In a way, I was kind of in his position, but not really. Let me know if I'm wrong. He asked people to support him.
If you find it in your heart.
To go to Alabama.
I knew at that moment he was going to Alabama.
And here's what I'll say about that. He ain't talking to me. He ain't talking to you, Ben. He's not talking to the listeners. He's talking to the people around him. He's talking to people in that town. He's talking to people that had his back the whole entire time with the hope that he would go to Tennessee. That's who he's talking to. Because I don't know him. I'm not supporting him going to Alabama. I don't know Ty Simpson. I ain't supporting him. Hell no, I ain't supporting him. I'm not wishing ill on him, but I ain't supporting him. I support my guys. I support people I have a relationship with. Did I support Amari Rodgers even though he went to Clemson? You better believe it. Why? I have a relationship with him. Did I support T. Higgins? I never met T. Higgins, but I wanted him to be, successful because it was big for the community that I live in, which is in Knoxville, Oak Ridge. But Ty Simpson's on the other side of the state. I'm not supporting Ty Simpson. I'm not bad-mouthing him. I'm not going to tweet him. I'm not going to say mean things. It's his decision. It's his right to go wherever he wants to go. But I'm not supporting him. He's talking to the people in Martin. And here's one thing you better get ready for, Simpson family. You're going to know a whole lot about your friends and the people that you feel like have your back. You're going to find out a whole lot. Because ain't no way I'm going to be hoping when somebody from my hometown plays my hometown team and it's the biggest rival, ain't no way in the hell I'm rooting for that young man. There's no way.
But if you're a family friend, you wouldn't.
Family? I ain't say family. I'm just.
But see, when you say like people close to the Simpson family, that's who I think of.
In that hometown, I mean, people, maybe a teacher that who's first grade teacher, something like that. But that's a hard ask. That's a hard ask, and I wonder if that statement was written by Ty himself or someone else. But that's a hard ask. This is a hard situation. I'm not downing the kid at all because I was from Alabama that went to Tennessee. I went to the biggest rival at a time when Alabama was on sanctions and wasn't the attractive place, and all the in-state players were leaving. Jamarcus Russell left. Jason Allen left. Amobe Okoye left. He went to Louisville, was a first-round pick in a couple years. Aaron Sears left. Like, all these guys left. Chad Jackson left, went to Florida, was a second-round pick with the Patriots. Like, all these guys left. So I did the exact same thing that Ty Simpson did. The difference is I didn't grow up as a Bama fan. Ty Simpson grew up as a Tennessee fan. And that stinks. And if I'm Tennessee, I move on. I don't continue to recruit him. That's just me.
Well, I would have said the same thing had Sam Horn not committed to Missouri. But now I continue to recruit Ty Simpson and Sam Horn in hopes that maybe you can get them to flip. The likelihood is better with Sam Horn, in my opinion, than Ty Simpson. But I at least continue to kick the tires. Now you want to make sure you have a good mix of spending time continuing to recruit those two and also evaluating new quarterbacks and recruiting the new quarterbacks that you identify. But I would still kick the tires. I would have a different opinion if Sam Horn did not commit to Missouri. I kind of shared that last week, where if Sam Horn was uncommitted, then I'd be all my eggs would be in Sam Horn's basket, and I would forget about Ty Simpson.
Simpson, they went dark. Like, dark. And I wouldn't personally.
Well, if that's the case, then obviously I would not continue to try.
Yeah, I wouldn't continue.
But that's different than what he has put off publicly.
Correct. So, Sam Horn, I started hearing rumblings that he would commit to Missouri. And he had pulled the trigger yesterday. Tennessee has been putting a full court press on Sam Horn for, way before Ty Simpson made this announcement. We'll continue the conversation, hour 3. Don't do this to yourself. Don't tell yourself that Tennessee shouldn't have fired Pruitt just because Ty Simpson didn't come to Tennessee. Don't do that.
Because at the rate that the culture was going, it would not have mattered if Ty Simpson was at Tennessee. Ty Simpson would not have flourished under Jeremy Pruitt. I fully believe that. Not because of Ty Simpson, but because of who he was playing for and the culture that was instilled, which makes it so frustrating that he was willing to play for Jeremy Pruitt and that sack of garbage, the football program, Jeremy Pruitt's football program, not calling Jeremy Pruitt a sack of garbage, but he was willing to play for that mess, yet he wouldn't even truly give Josh Heupel a chance.
Yeah, because Josh Heupel probably wasn't entertaining bringing Dad in. Now, the more I think about it, the more that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. But don't sit here and act like you just grew up some diehard Tennessee fan, yet you're not even willing to give a new coach a true listen.
What do you mean? You mean you don't believe him?
No, not really. Not in hindsight. To not listen, like not to truly listen.
He did listen.
Yeah,
he didn't listen. He just didn't listen for long because he was put in a position.
He didn't truly listen then.
He did listen.
Not truly.
What's truly?
It seems like he listened to Josh Heupel out of courtesy, not going into the conversation looking to hear him out. To me, that is not truly listening.
Are you talking about one conversation or multiple?
Multiple.
Okay, so you have Alabama and you have Clemson who are like, hey, man, we need to know or we're moving on. And if we move on, we're not looking back. So you have to add that part of it in there. And so Ty could have just made his announcement without the whole set up at a school. I think Ty Simpson can be a Tennessee fan, grow up as a Tennessee fan, and still be like, hey, man, this is best for my future, and still gave Heupel an opportunity, but he was about to miss the boat. Like
I get that aspect.
He's about to get passed up.
I get that.
And so you have to add that in too. I'm not going to try to invalidate. I don't know if I use that word right. I'm not going to try to take away from him being a lifetime Tennessee fan. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't believe him just because he didn't pick Tennessee, because I don't think that's fair. Or we know that.
I don't either. I wasn't trying to communicate that in terms of like picking. I don't blame him at all for going to Alabama or Clemson given the current circumstance. But it seems like he didn't give Josh Heupel the time of day. And then
He did.
It doesn't feel like it.
But when was Josh Heupel hired? Josh Heupel was hired weeks ago, and Ty's been pressured by Alabama and Clemson for months. I mean, he's been pressured, and Ty had tried to string this thing as long as he could. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that Ty, handled everything perfectly and with Tennessee, because there's not a way to handle things perfectly when you have three schools that all want you, and two of them have won, 6-7 national championships in the last decade or so, whatever. And they're saying, hey, we need to know answer now. There's going to be somebody that have their feathers ruffled. I'm pretty sure Clemson is upset too. Ty could be a Tennessee fan and gave Heupel an opportunity, but he didn't have a choice but to make a pick at this moment at the end of February because Clemson and Alabama was about to leave him. They were about to move on. So if you're Ty Simpson, what do you do? Honestly, let's put ourselves in Ty Simpson's shoes. What have you done differently?
Gone to Tennessee.
Without thinking with your heart.
Mm-hmm. It feels to me like he let Tennessee on at the end. That's just how I perceive the situation. I may be wrong, but that's my perception.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he did. And remember last week, I was like, if you truly want to preserve your announcement, you either don't tell the team that you're not going to, that you're not coming. You make everyone feel like that you're going there. If you're really trying to preserve your announcement. If not, people are going to know where you're going before you even announce it. So why even have an assembly? Why even have an announcement? Why even do that if people are going to know anyway? People dropping crystal balls here and there and there. So if you really want to have your announcement, your time, your day, if you really want to have that, you're going to piss off other schools because you have to keep them in the dark. You have to. You have to do that. Because the moment that you're Jerry Garantano and you think you're doing what's right by telling Ohio State, hey, I'm picking Tennessee, and then Ohio State leaks it out before you announce, your announcement is screwed. Ohio State stole your moment. And that's what happens. It happens that way. So I'm just trying to give you a different angle to think about for those that question Ty Simpson's, childhood favorite team. It could be his childhood favorite team, and he had no choice but to pick a school at that very moment, and he was afraid of getting left. Because when they leave you, when the bus leaves, they're not turning around. I'm not supporting them. So I can't find it in my heart to support you. So, man, I don't know you. And I hate Alabama.
Yeah, you're going to Alabama.
I'm not supporting you, young man. You're talking to the people in Martin. I'm not going to support you. But I will defend you to folks that question how much you grew up as a Tennessee fan. Now, Vaughn Birmingham makes a good point. I wouldn't have went on Tennessee radio. I would have taken Tennessee out of consideration and just saw I want embarrassing them on my commitment day. I would have just had Clemson, Alabama hats on the table because that is who I was considering. Yes, the 3-hour lunch interview,
which he's doing again today.
Doing again today with Ron Slay. Now, he did say he made his decision the night before. which I don't know, man. I've heard stories about him being a solid commit to Alabama for a while. But he said that he made the decision the night before. Now, if he made the decision the night before, I'm okay with the 104.5 interview. But if the decision was made before the 105 interview and you got on there and you said what you said, yeah, I ain't feeling that one. I ain't feeling that.
And that's my point. Like, I don't understand how you could, if that is the case, how could you treat the team you grew up liking like that?
If you made the decision the night before.
Yes.
But again, you don't know that. We don't
correct.
know that.
That's why I said if that was the case to your scenario that you threw out there, that if he had previously committed silently and then he goes on and strings Tennessee along, I don't know how you could do that to the team you supposedly grew up liking.
Agree. I agree. I couldn't do that. But
I understand him going to Alabama. It is the correct business decision. We as fans cannot sit here and get mad at Tennessee ourselves and dog cuss Tennessee ourselves and talk about how bad we've been and how stupid our decision making is, and then act surprised when a kid doesn't want to come here, especially when Alabama's in the equation, or get upset with a kid for not coming here and going to a school like Alabama when we recognize the dysfunction of Tennessee. It's hypocritical of us.
Yeah, if there's one,
so I understand the business decision. I'm not questioning that at all. I, quite frankly, probably made the right decision, as painful as that is to say.
If you want to put your energy in somebody, be mad at somebody, it's Jeremy Pruitt.
Yes, he cost us Ty Simpson. Yeah. Jeremy Pruitt cost Tennessee Ty Simpson. Now, I'm sure he's smiling today because he ended up going to the school that he wanted him to go to all along. You know, Jeremy Pruitt already has a number 6 Alabama Ty Simpson jersey ordered. I bet he's wearing it in the Giants complex right now.
Ty Simpson. I know Alabama fans see Pruitt as a great soldier.
Yep, they do.
Because I mean,
I never hear the end of it.
Man, he went to the enemy
and made them worse
and blew it up, man.
Which is remarkable after Butch Jones blew it up.
I'm gonna go to the phones.
We've got Volstorm.
Volstorm, good morning.
Y'all done with your rant, or you need another couple minutes?
Oh, ain't no rant. Just chit chatting. I know you got a rant.
Chit chatting.
Just chit chat.
Chit chat on the Swain
not
event.
Me. I don't do that. I just bring up, facts.
What's the facts?
Fact of the matter is that Ty Simpson made the absolute best decision for Ty Simpson.
He did.
You're going to a school where you're going to get a lot of prestige, where you're going to get noticed, where there have been plenty of, NFL players come out of there. That was the best business decision he could possibly make.
Correct.
The problem is when you get on national radio and you basically try to pump up Tennessee, and then you have this big, big announcement in the middle of your hometown, knowing that it's surrounded by Tennessee fans. And I understand a kid wanting all the attention on them, but when you kind of go out of your way to, let's say, troll Tennessee fans, that's a bit much.
Yeah. If he knew that he was going to Bama before the night before the announcement.
Yeah, that
you cannot tell me that he made that decision the night before. You cannot tell me that. I do not believe it.
I don't either. If I had to pick whether he knew the night before or he knew well before, and I couldn't, be in the middle of the road, I had to pick one side, I would pick that he knew well before.
Yeah.
He was at least leaning to Alabama.
Yep.
He could have made the final decision the night before, but it was probably already a decision before he, quote, made the final decision, before he sat down at the dinner table and kind of talked through it with his parents. He was already leaning a particular way.
Because one thing I have a hard time with is I have a hard time believing that he was going to come here even if Pruitt was here.
It's funny because, like, when Pruitt was here, and this is before I even, like, started, the possibility of his dad joining the staff could happen.
Right.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, they gotta bring his dad on. They gotta bring his dad on. And I said this was like on the show well before that was possible. That possibly could be a thing. And that would have been a different dynamic too, especially if he was a quarterback's coach. He needed to be like a different coach, different position, because that would have been very weird for other quarterbacks in that room. But I'm starting to believe like that was real, because why in the heck would Ty Simpson want to come be in an offense with Jim Chaney while Pruitt is micromanaging him after seeing what happened the last 2 years the last 3 years with the offense? Why would Ty Simpson want to sign up for that? Well, because it had to be something else. Had to be another part of the equation. Had to be. Mark from Norris says Ty said in an interview at the committee that he knew 1st of February.
Right.
So
I saw that quote too.
Which one is it?
That's what he told the Bama folks who interviewed him afterwards, which, if it was the beginning of February, he went on Nashville radio and hyped up Tennessee, acted like Tennessee had a legitimate chance, acted like he was still talking with Tennessee, knowing that he was going to Alabama.
So, if that's the case, then I'm looking at Jason Simpson going, really? Really? Really, coach? Really? Like, I expect this from a recruit that's never been through this process before. Maybe there's not a father figure in the house, don't know how to handle the situation. But I'm surprised that this happened the way it happened when you have a Division I, a college football head coach
that deals with recruiting on a daily basis.
How did you allow for your son to contradict himself, get on national radio, and say those things while citing being a Tennessee fan growing up? The support system. Y'all did not handle this right, Ty Simpson. Because we all can agree, Vols, Storm, Ben, myself, we can all agree that the business move is Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go Alabama. But don't get on national radio talking about all this, all that. Don't say that you didn't think, that you didn't know until the night before, and then say to someone else that you knew in February. That's the problem.
And that's
the problem.
That's when people are lying.
That's the problem.
When their stories are different to
That's
different
the problem.
people.
Yep, that's the problem. That's the problem. So I'm not even like disappointed in Ty, because Ty's 17, 18 years old, man. How'd y'all let him do this? Support system? Head coach dad? How did y'all let this happen? All you had to do is just shut up and make an announcement and go to Alabama. But this is what happens when you want the attention. So you wanted the attention. Because your son deserved the attention. Don't get me wrong, he deserved the attention. But when you want the attention, this is what can go wrong. And it went wrong. It went wrong, man. Conflicting stories. Not a good look. Sorry, Vols Storm. That was a rant. My bad, Vols Storm.
It's Fall Storm still there?
Sorry about that, Fall Storm.
Fall Storm. Did you mute yourself?
My bad, Fall Storm.
He must be traveling to West End to meet his new head football coach, Clark Lee. If must be running out of service.
So yeah, I was unaware of the comments he made to Alabama site. If he knew in February, or was he just trying to say that to sound good in front of the Alabama folks? But it don't matter. You be true to yourself, and you say what you mean what you say. You don't say things to try to impress who you're talking to. And if you say what you mean what you say, you don't find yourself in this situation. He didn't do that. And his support staff failed him. Very surprising. Very surprising when you have a head coach as a father, college program. Very surprised that this happened like this. Very surprising.
See if I can find the quotes here for you. It was written by the Tuscaloosa News. I'll try to find them for you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, if he made those comments to the Alabama media, I understand why he's getting the backlash that he's getting.
Tidesports.com. These were the quotes. Let me answer the phone first.
Better not be Vols Storm, man. Should have said something when we told him to. He interrupting your quote. Can't believe it, man. Can't believe it. That's a head coach.
Ty said, it really came down to player development and finding the right fit for me, from being ready for the NFL with Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban, being there every day, being there with those guys will make me a better player.
Cool, yeah.
It feels great to say blankety blank and know you're going to one of the top programs in the nation.
Okay.
Talking to Nick Saban every day this week was awesome, and I want to play for him. Seeing that emotion from the greatest college football coach ever is pretty awesome.
Okay.
He thought through things thoroughly, but at the end of the day, he wanted to play in the SEC. This is what Ty Simpson said, specifically the SEC West and win a national championship. I told him to go through what is important to him, not me, and I told him not to get strayed with fans talking to one player or one coach. Ty said, I went through every scenario, but in the end, I felt like the best scenario for me was Alabama. Okay. I went to bed with one school in my mind, but I woke up and felt like Alabama was the best place for me. I didn't have this was his coach. I didn't have as near and intense of a recruiting process as he did, but I told him what I thought. So this particular article does not say one way or the other.
Yeah, I need to see that or see those comments about him knowing in February he's going to Alabama. But Tennessee now has to find themselves a 2022 quarterback. It don't matter how many quarterbacks they have on the roster. It don't matter. They need a 2022 quarterback. Heupel needs his quarterback. That does not mean that Salter won't be the guy. Hooker won't be the guy. Bailey won't be the guy. Maurer won't be the guy. It does not mean that, because they could be the guy. Lane Kiffin brought in Bryce Brown. That was his guy, but Monterio was better. But the last thing we need is to look up, and in 2 years, that was the case with the previous regime. 2 years, the offensive coordinator or the person responsible for the offense did not have a quarterback that he handpicked going into his second year. Jim Chaney did not have a quarterback that he handpicked. That cannot happen with Josh Heupel. He's an offensive guy, him and the offensive coordinator. They must get a quarterback that they handpick in this class. And again, I'll reiterate, does not mean that he's going to have the advantage over the quarterbacks, or he's going to be the guy over the quarterbacks that we currently have. But I don't want to hear nothing 2 years from now like we did Jim Chaney. Like, oh, man, Jim Chaney don't even have his guy. He don't even have a guy that he recruited. He's a second year as the offense coordinator. He don't even have the guy that he recruited. That's not what we need. So, can somebody find that quote where he said Ty Simpson said that he knew in February?
Said it was a CBS article. I'm looking for it now.
Because that's very, very important to my to how I feel, in my opinion.
Well, the
Very
true indication that Ty Simpson knew he was going to Alabama is the fact that he got the 5-star bump before he actually committed.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. So, do I think Ty Simpson knew night before? Yes. But if he said he only knew the night before, I'll take him out. I'll take his word for it. I can have my opinion, but I'll take his word for it unless there is a contradicting golly, I messed up the word, statement made by him. All right, I'm moving on.
Good. I'm tired of Ty Simpson.
I'm moving on, man. I'm moving on. Oh, SCVFL tweeted the story at me, so let me check it out. Maybe we have it. Oh!
That was a rival story, not a...
On February 1, I knew it was Bama for me. That's what he said to Chad Simmons of Rivals.
He went on Nashville radio well after that.
So, my stance on Ty's support system, that I stand by it.
Ty Simpson went on Nashville radio. That's January. February 12th.
There it is. Swain event fueled by Daddy and Barbecue.